Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to you all on joining on this International MSME Day. So today's webinar is not generic. We normally talk about a specific subject for all of our webinars. But today, being an International MSME Day, we want to focus on the 6 crore MSMEs and motivate them, empower them on this special day. So I just want to quickly start on the topic that we have chosen, the power of small. I mean, MSMEs are the backbone of the economy, but when we say they are backbone of the economy, we would like to understand what power they have. Without them, there is no economy. So that's why we have named this webinar today as the power of small and to unlock the potentials. So today's webinar is a good mix of industry experts and an MSME who represent the 6 crore MSMEs out there. So the United Nations General Assembly designated 27 June as Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Day to raise awareness of the tremendous contributions micro, small and medium-sized enterprises to the achievement of the 2030 agenda and the sustainable business development goals. MSMEs account for 90% of businesses, 60 to 70% of employment, and 40 to 50% of GDP worldwide. I'm talking about worldwide, not specifically India. But the World MSME Day, observed annually on 27 June since 2017, serves as a reminder to government to create business climate in which small companies also have an opportunity to thrive. The United Nations, in its 74th plenary on April 6, 2017, recognized the significance of MSMEs in attaining sustainable development goals, encouraging innovation and providing livelihood to local communities. This year, the MSME Day is being observed under the theme of resilience and rebuilding, MSMEs for sustainable development. That's a worldwide theme. The focus of this theme event would be to discuss the ways which MSMEs can become more resilient to future shocks. Discussions will also be held on the efforts and stimulus package that can be rolled out by governments to help companies most impacted by global supply chain disruption, inflation and climate crisis, among others. As part of our ongoing initiative to help MSMEs, we will be conducting a 30-city SME roadshow in 3 phases to help them transform a business to a digital and many other small business solutions. The roadshow will kickstart from 21st July to 20th of October. On this occasion, Small Enterprise India would like to invite 5 distinguished speakers, 4 industry experts to learn how MSMEs can thrive in this post-COVID situation. And also, let's listen to an MSME who represent the 6 crore SMEs out there, who will talk on the challenges they have faced and the support they look forward from the ecosystem. So today I would like to quickly share a PPT, take you through the program, the agenda today, and our speakers. So you can see the screen. Hope you all can see the screen.
Yeah.
Yes, today's webinar celebrating the International MSME Day. The title is Power of Small, Unlocking the Potential of SMEs. And we have 5 distinguished speakers. I will introduce them to you. Ms. Rachna Bhusri. She is the Vice President and Listing Head of National Stock Exchange. Ms. K. Saraswati, General Secretary of the oldest Chamber of Commerce in India, the Madras Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Ajay Thakur is the Head of SME, BSE SME. Mr. Gopinath Rao is the Deputy Director of MSME Development Institute based in Bangalore. He is in charge of All India MSME DI as well. And the representative of the 6 crore MSMEs out in India by Mr. Rajesh Setia, CEO and Director of Tespan India Private Limited. He is also an award winner of our SEBA 2021 awards for SMEs. So thank you all for joining today, making this occasion more, a reason to attend. I hope there is a lot of learning that all of us are looking for from you all. So let me take you through the agenda quickly. So we started at 4 o'clock. After my session, I would like to invite Ms. Rajana, followed by, and she will be talking on raising funds through SME IPOs as a way to grow for an SME, to go to the next level. Followed by Ms. Rajana, we will have Ms. K. Saraswati, who will be talking on succeeding in a VUCA world. And Mr. Ajay Thakur will be the next speaker, who will be talking about how BSE SME can help SMEs to grow their business. Followed by Mr. Gopinath Rao, who will be talking on different government schemes for SMEs. And Mr. Rajesh Shettiar, who will be talking on behalf of the 6 crore SMEs out there on resilience and bounce back post-pandemic, a perspective from MSMEs. And followed by this, we'll have a quick Q&A session, but we are limiting our time to 1.5 hours to make the session more enjoyable, more value add for your time. And we will start our sessions right now after inviting the first speaker. Before that, a quick session, information on our roadshow, helping small business on the digital transformation drive, and also various other small business support systems to help the small business makeover to grow their business. So this will start on 21st July. It'll go across 30 cities, metros, tier 2, tier 3 cities, and it'll end by 20th October. You'll hear more. We are looking at more than 2,000, 2,500 SMEs to attend, to connect with them. And a lot of interesting sessions going to happen during this sessions in each city. So with this, okay, just want to showcase the cities that we have. We'll go across almost all the cities in south, west, north, and east. That's how we plan to go, and end by 20th of October. I would like to invite our first speaker, Ms. Rajana Bhusari. She's the Vice President, Listing Business Development, National Stock Exchange. Rajana is the Vice President and of the National Stock Exchange Limited, and is responsible for primary market business development initiatives of NSE for listing of equity and debt for corporates, startups, SMEs, and SMEs. She has worked for development of securities market for SMEs by creating an enabling ecosystem, represents NSE at various committees of SABAI for development of primary markets, including the new age economy companies. She is postgraduate in financial management, a law graduate with nearly 21 years of experience of working with NSE. Prior to the current role, she was responsible for regulatory functions of the exchange, namely investigation, surveillance, member supervision, etc. The topic that Ms. Rajana was going to present today will be raising funds through SME IPO. So let's welcome Ms. Rajana.
Thanks for setting the tone, and thank you for introducing me. And good evening to all my co-panelists. It's a privilege to share the screen today with you and hear you and hear the industry experts talk on this power of small. Undoubtedly, there is power is in the hands of this small and medium enterprises, and there is no debate about it. And NSE has been facilitating the small and medium enterprises since 2012, so that they are able to actually grow their dreams into reality, turn their dreams into reality, and using the capital markets. And that is what I would be talking to you in my next 5 or 7 minutes of discussion. And at the outset, heartiest congratulations to all the MSMEs for being part of this wonderful fraternity of SMEs and wishing you all an International MSME Day. I think a lot, it's very challenging. I don't know, but there's been a lot on the WhatsApp which circulates a video about an entrepreneur, challenges of an entrepreneur, which talks about, he's getting off the engine time and again and removing all the hurdles on the track. And then he again drives down and reaches his destination. So that is what, whenever I look at that video, it brings me to the fact about the opportunities are galore for SMEs and the challenges that they face. And I think today Dojo has aptly put in a compilation which will help SMEs know what is that various stakeholders are doing to encourage them to reach their goals. So my topic today is raising funds through the SME IPO. So if you ask me, till 2012, it was the large corporates who were tapping the public markets and raising funds using the capital markets. But there was a need felt that even the small and medium enterprises should be able to use capital markets to fund their growth, to propel their growth. And hence, a separate platform was carved out for them. In 2012, NSE and BSE both launched their platforms in the same year and had the listings in the same year as well. So we have completed 10 years of SME platform, BSE and SME. And we've seen the journey very closely, walked the path with all the promoters. And I think my session today will also speak about some of the experiences that we have learned with the SME companies. So when this platform was designed, a lot of thought process was involved into it to keep the regulatory framework as simple as possible and to use the current ecosystem as much as possible so that there is a ready to go kind of a platform which allows SMEs to tap the public markets. Considering these pillars, the platform was set up with a clear motive that whatever is there in the current ecosystem, that is the current trading members, the current investors, the current merchant bankers who are participating in the equity journey of the large corporates can also participate in the SME sector. So that ecosystem was kept as same, and hence all the brokers of NSE can participate in an SME IPO or SME trading without any registration formalities. So similar is for the investors, and even for issuers, a separate regulatory framework was carved out, which allows them to have a simplified regulatory framework to list onto the NSE SME platform. The NSE SME platform, as commonly called as the Emerge platform, the name itself signifies that this is a platform for growing corporates to emerge as large corporates, to emerge as leaders in their businesses, to emerge as good businesses. So we have today around 255 companies which have listed on this platform, on the Emerge platform of NSE, and more than 4,000 crores of funds have been raised. And put together, these Emerge companies have market capitalization of around 37,000 crores. And an important feature that this platform provides is enabled 100 companies to migrate to the main board of NSE, more than 100 companies to migrate to the main board of NSE. So what is distinct about this feature? What are the regulatory requirements for this platform and how it benefits SMEs is what I will be talking in my next few minutes. The regulatory requirements for SME is eligibility criteria has been kept very simple. SEBI has clarified that or has said that you have to have a paid up capital of 25 crores to be listed on the SME platform. So 0 to 10 paid up capital can list on the SME segment, and between 10 to 25 can list either on the SME segment or on the main board. The option is given to the issuer. And NSE has added several more eligibility criteria, hygiene checks, to say that you have to have a track record of 3 years and a profitability of 2 years to list on the Emerge platform. So with these simple criteria, we see a lot of SME companies becoming eligible to list onto the NSE Emerge platform. When we talk about 3 years of track record, we also give the benefit of to the companies who are not as an entity incorporated as a private limited company or a public limited company. Most of the SME businesses will exist either as sole proprietor or partnership firms. But the requirement of 3 year of track record will be passed on to these companies also, to these entities also, when they transform themselves into a public limited company or a private limited company. So if you have been doing the same business in whatever kind of an entity that you existed at the time of IPO, your business will get the weightage of your track record of your experience in the same line of business. So that actually allowed a lot of SME companies to participate onto this platform. While this platform was designed, it was kept in mind that SMEs have to learn the nuances of the financial markets, have to get themselves accustomed to the regulatory framework of disclosures, and hence a lot of efforts were taken to keep the framework very simplified. In order to facilitate a smaller company IPO, it was required that in the main board you should have at least 1,000 people applying for an IPO, which it was felt would have been a difficult task for an SME company. Hence, the requirement was pegged at 50 allottees. So, in case of an SME IPO, the issuer needs applications from 50 allottees, and the IPO is completely meeting all the regulatory requirements if there are 50 allottees subscribing to the IPO. The other differentiating factor that SEBI prescribed in the framework was that 100% underwriting. Now, this 100% underwriting, mandatory underwriting, gives a lot of comfort to the promoters that they can actually raise funds using the capital markets without the fear of their IPO being undersubscribed. Because in case of undersubscription, the responsibility is on the merchant banker to underwrite it completely and complete the IPO procedure and complete the IPO. The third distinction that SEBI kept in this platform up, which is about market making. Since this platform is with lesser number of allottees, your IPO is completed. It could be smaller companies, which it is for smaller companies, which could be considered as a risky investment opportunity. So what SEBI said is that to provide mandatory liquidity into the secondary markets, there will be a market making for 3 years. During the 3 years, the market maker, which subscribes to the inventory at the time of an IPO, can offer a buy and a sell quote on a daily basis and provide the mandatory liquidity. So this again aids the issuer as well as the investors to enter and exit at times that they want to. And the fourth differentiation which SEBI gave to this platform was about no SEBI observation was required, or no SEBI approval was required to launch an SME IPO. The exchanges would grant their in-principle approval and the company is good to go. So this took care of the fact that SMEs need fund, and they need fund in a timely manner. And the time frame has been reduced because of the approval only at the exchange level. So they are able to get early approvals and hit their IPOs as soon as possible. At the investor level also, considering that this could be a segment which could be riskier, so SEBI said that it should be a segment, it will be a segment for only informed investors, and hence a market lot of 1 lakh and above for the secondary market as well as for the primary market at the time of IPO application was decided. And today we have the SME stocks trading in lakhs and multiples of 1 lakh in the secondary market or even at the time of an IPO. So this structure was kept separate, distinct from the main board to facilitate a very, I would say, a very healthy ecosystem which will enable these SMEs to list onto the SME platform. The other things were kept similar to that main board. For example, it was discussed and decided that the draft red herring prospectus would be in a format which will be same to that as that of a main board, considering that this is a disclosure based regime and investors should be able to make an informed decision based on the disclosures given in the DRHP. So corporate governance is very important for any company which is tapping the public markets. So corporate governance norms were also kept at similar lines with that of a main board. The other similarity was about minimum promoter dilution. So in case of a main board also, and in case of SME, the promoters or the issuers have to dilute at least 25% of the equity to come up with an IPO and list the securities onto the main board. The biggest leeway which was given in the regulatory framework was about dissemination of information. What is a quarterly information dissemination onto the main board has been relaxed with respect to timelines, and the SME issuers are required to give half-yearly disclosures. This enables them to prepare themselves to get used to disclosures, and also to get their books ready, and gives them time to build their books and disseminate the information to the market participants. So this has also benefited to the companies with respect to acclimatizing themselves to the capital markets. What it takes for a company to list on the NSE Emerge, the process is very simple. Once you decide that yes, you are a good to go company, you are eligible, you need to engage with the merchant banker, the investment banker, who would help you through the process, appoint various intermediaries during the process, and file your DRHP. Once the DRHP is filed, the exchange will do a due diligence of the same and grant their in principle approval, and then you can actually launch your IPO, and the company gets listed within 6 days of the closure of an IPO. Throughout this process, exchange will walk the path with you, NSE will walk the path with you, help you connect with various intermediaries, and make you understand the various requirements of the capital markets from time to time. At no time we will say that you have to engage with this intermediary. We only let you know what are the various intermediaries involved and how you can engage with them. The other important factor is that, what the promoters ask us is ki, I don't think so I'm big enough to, I'm small enough to come and launch an IPO, or they feel that I'm big enough, I can't be on an SME platform. So regarding these concerns, my reply would be that, there's nothing as a size of an SME company that determines that whether you can come with an IPO or not come with an IPO, because the requirement is only about the paid up capital. Because we've seen an IPO size of 4 crores on the SME segment, and we've seen an IPO size of at least 85 crores on the NSE Emerge platform. So that is the bandwidth that we have seen, and obviously as the market grows, we will be able to see companies with larger IPOs also coming on the NSE Merge platform. So please don't consider or restrict yourself. If you're a growing company and you have a proven business model, SME is a good platform for you. There's no requirement on a minimum turnover or a maximum turnover or a maximum profitability. Just if you're a growing company with a proven track record, you're good to go and list yourself on the NSE Emerge platform. What is it that a promoter gets by listing on a stock exchange? The most important thing that they benefit out of listing is that they're able to enjoy higher visibility and obviously a higher credibility by being in the regulated space, or adds a lot of credibility that all the stakeholders dealing with it, their perception about a company changes when they know that it is listed onto the NSE Merge platform. And we've heard multiple verbatims and feedback from the promoters about how they have enjoyed out of this listing and the credibility that they got added by being a listed entity. Another important benefit that these promoters and issuers have been able to enjoy is they're able to actually have a better borrowing terms with their bank. They're able to have liquidity into their transactions, and they are also able to have access to wider capital. They are able to pledge these shares and infuse further capital. So equity not only gives them capital to infuse to propel their growth, but it also allows them to have a better debt leverage, debt equity leverage, and higher infusion of debt into their company. So it actually complements the debt efforts of the company as well. Multiple benefits. You can offer ESOPs and retain talent. In fact, attract talent. If you are a listed entity, you will be in a position to offer ESOPs, which will be actually attracting a lot of young and talent into your company. The most important benefit for a promoter would also be that he's able to unlock his valuation by being a listed entity, because one very important factor is that when you dilute 25% of the equity and the capital markets are valuing your 25% of the equity, the same equity valuation is reflected onto the remaining shareholding that is vested with you. So it helps the promoter to create valuation and also unlock valuation for its shareholding in the company. NSE, in its initiative to reach out to multiple entrepreneurs and create more and more awareness about this platform, ties up with various associations, with various industry bodies to spread this message about SME listing, the benefits of SME listing across the length and breadth of the country. So we understand that, most of the SMEs will not be only in the tier 1 cities or the tier 2 cities. We reach out at the tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities as well to spread more and more awareness about this platform. So we've been working very closely with Aspire Media and other associations, ICSI, ICAI, or the FICCI, the CII, so that we are able to spread awareness about this platform, and more SME entrepreneurs find this alternative fundraising mechanism as a good choice to go and propel their growth by infusing funds through the IPO mechanism. We also, to encourage and to show the growth of SME, have also started an NSE SME Emerge Nifty Index, which is a kind of only a dissemination index which allows companies to participate in an index. No trading happens on that index, but it's a dissemination index, and it's been really doing phenomenally well in the last few years. So, and we continue to be committed to help the SMEs raise funds through this mechanism, and I'll be more than happy to guide any one of you on any further matters onto this platform of NSE Emerge. Thank you very much, and over to you, Dojo.
Thank you, ma'am. It was quite interesting to understand how NSE can help SMEs. So let me welcome our next speaker, Ms. K. Saraswati. She's the General Secretary of one of the oldest Chamber of Commerce in India, the Madras Chamber of Commerce and Industries. With more than 30 years of experience, out of which more than 2 decades in the industry, and trade and development ideas, Ms. Saraswati has worked in banking industry, 16 years with the German Collaborative Center for SME Promotion, Senior Investment and Trade Advisor with British High Commission, Deputy High Commission, leading on sectors like ICT, biotech and pharma, healthcare, power and environment, water, food and drink, etc. was coordinating the science and innovation and research activities between UK and India. Currently holding the post as the Secretary General of Madras Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the 186 years old chamber, with the honor of being the first woman Secretary General of this historical chamber. She has received Woman of Excellence in Leadership Award for 2006 by JC International, Chennai Royal, received the Woman Achiever Award in 2013 by the Center of Women Studies, SIIT College, from Padma Bhushan Sri Musa Raza, traveled widely and have presented many papers on SMEs, entrepreneurship promotion, women empowerment, international trade and other related topics at the invitation of various chambers, universities and institutions, both in India and abroad. The topic Ms. Saraswati will be talking or presenting today would be succeeding in a VUCA world. So let's welcome Ms. K. Saraswati, ma'am.
Thank you so very much for that very generous introduction. I was wondering for a minute whether it is me. Thank you so very much. And probably we should have started with Mr. Rajesh being the representative of 6 crore SME on an International MSME Day. But probably you thought it would be better that the MSME has a final word in the program. And I guess he may be speaking last and have the final word. Thank you very much for this opportunity again. And I also join Rachna in wishing everyone a very, very happy International MSME Day. Sometimes we wonder whether these days matter. The Women's Day, Mother's Day, whatever days. We have a host of that. But if you go deeper, yes, because sometimes it requires attention, special attention. And so long as that is required for any sector or any segment, probably it's worth celebrating. So that way I subscribe to the view of, or endorse the view of having a International MSME Day, and happy that I'm able to participate on this important occasion. Mainly, as Mr. Dojo said, probably my association with MSMEs in one form or the other. I have not been a very successful entrepreneur like Rajesh or one award, but at least I have such a passion for this sector, having worked very closely with this sector on different kind of avatars in my entire long career so far. So thank you so much. And it was very interesting to listen to Rachana. Ms. Rachana, maybe I should invite you to address our SME committee member. This is a great opportunity and so many things, honestly, I was not aware of too. So probably we should have more interaction. We will move to our PPT. In the interest of time, I'll just get into the PPT so that the thoughts could be a little organized. Can we open it? Okay. So we can move to the next slide. This is today's topic, and I'm going to talk on a particular thing, the VUCA world. So we will discuss what is the VUCA world now. And just one quick introduction about the chamber, though Mr. Dojo said most of it. This is the oldest chamber in the state and the other part, second oldest in the country, probably 1 week junior to Bombay Chamber. And we have different special initiatives which had helped us sustain so many years, 186 years. Very recently, we had started our skill development initiative, recently in the sense 10, 12 years back, when we entered into our 175th year, we had a lot of new initiatives. As I said, one thing is we have around 650, 700 members, probably not so much in the micro sector, but many of them, especially with the new definition, many of them are in the small and medium sector. And last few years, we have been doing very extensive and the exclusive studies on MSMEs, which threw open a lot of ideas, a lot of information on them. One we did particularly for manufacturing in Tamil Nadu, why the manufacturing, probably the momentum is a little down, and what are the regulatory roadmap has to be there. We also had a study on industrial estate. And during COVID especially, which I would like to particularly mention here, start of COVID, maybe few months after the lockdowns, things like that, we embarked on a very quick survey of 1,200 MSMEs, primarily from Tamil Nadu, 80% of them, and the rest from other parts, Karnataka, Telangana, Andhra, and Maharashtra, and other states. And to mainly know about the awareness of government schemes, how they are facing labor issues, so many things. Maybe I think we did it around June, July of 2020, and a lot of insights were thrown open. We in fact updated it in 2021, whether things have improved. There were definitely some improvement, but then there were more issues on supply chain disruptions, on labor issues, things like that. And we also have a working group on, or advisory group on MSMEs, and we focus a lot more through that. Next. Yeah, this again, Dojo has said, we all know that resilient recovery is the theme for the current year very aptly. And in fact, the COVID pandemic, especially on MSMEs, I'm sure Mr. Rajesh will definitely agree with me. It had great impact on MSMEs in particular. In fact, I came across an International Trade Center study that said almost 70% world over, 70% of though the definitions could vary from country to country, around 70% of the MSMEs have been very severely impacted by COVID. And another fact to know is 63% of that is women-led. Women had to take the blunt more, in fact, because of COVID, the work from home, so many other things happen. And women's role became a little daisy, we have to manage the house, so many things. So especially already when we are having so much focus on women-driven enterprises, that had the maximum negative impact during COVID, and that's what the study says. So obviously, very aptly, I would say the current year theme had been resilient recovery. Yeah. And again, MSME definition, this again had been greatly debated. I remember the last definition was brought in, or the SME Act was brought in 2006. And the definition of MSMEs were very vague. We had only investment as a criteria, whereas world over, it had been either 3 points: employment, turnover, investment, or probably at least a minimum of 2 more related to employment had been the thing. India had a different viewpoint. And in fact, I remember during the SMED Act, when I was representing the German Center for MSME that point of time, we made a presentation. We had a very long debate on this topic, and we made a presentation to MSME Ministry at Government of India, and even that time we suggested that we should have more than one definition. And today again the definitions have been enhanced in 2021, probably after a good amount of 15 years. And again there is a debate now whether the micro enterprise can be clubbed here, because that's more an informal. Even I have a different opinion, but anyway, that also poses certain challenges. That's what I'm trying to say. When we have all this in this kind of a category, we have easily defined annual turnover of a micro enterprise is 5 crore and small. It's in a way good to make them a sort of come into the value chain, but sometimes it's a bit of a problem, and probably Rajesh may be able to throw more light on this. But as of now, this is the definition. Yes. Next. And again, this Dojo also said, and there can no second opinion on this point. Yes, MSMEs are the drivers behind the growth story of Indian economy, whether we accept it or not. And they are the live stream. They are the kind of the main driver, and this accounts for maximum employment, maximum probably the equitable distribution, regional distribution, and in numbers, in terms of numbers, contribution to the GDP, 6.11% of manufacturing GDP of the nation comes from this, and overall it is nearly 34%. Exports again around 40. So nobody can definitely undermine the importance of MSMEs, whether it is an international MSME day we are talking about, or any day for that matter. We have to accept that if we really have a big aim, aspiration of reaching a 5 trillion economy by 2025, we can never keep the SMEs or MSMEs out from this trajectory, please. Next. So this is the SWOT. Again, I need not have to elaborate. So there are issues. We cannot say it's always rosy. When we say MSME sector is important, we also know the challenges faced by MSMEs. It's not easy. We have been working. In fact, when I joined the German Collaborative Center, it was immediately after the liberalization. We embarked on a study whether the liberalization is understood by the MSMEs. The open economy is understood by the MSMEs. So we have gone a long way. They have been able to cope up. They have been coming up. They have been actually bouncing back. But then they've had strengths and weaknesses. When we talk about strength, yes, they are very customer focused, flexibility, innovativeness. Top management is quite visible, and one-on-one interaction, quick to seize opportunities. Weakness, lack of skilled labor, access to finance. We are very happy to listen to Rachna, because this has been one of the points ever since I have been working with MSMEs. Yes, access to credit, access to finance, and banks are risk averse. We will have Sidbi here, I guess. So there are issues again, but opportunities. When we say, at least now there is a bit of a realization, as Rachna was saying, there are new credit mechanisms are coming, technological upgradation. There are some specific schemes to support MSMEs, skill development and training programs. It's again gaining momentum. But then equally there are threats in terms of competition, access to technology, product quality, and sort of distribution cost. Today the raw material prices are skyrocketing, and industries have a problem right now. I saw news that Hosur industry belt is going on a strike. Some time back we had the issue with the Tirupur, some of the industrial belts where the SME presence are very high. Yes, there are issues, but this is the overall SWOT of our Indian MSMEs at a glance. Yes, next. So I'm coming back to my point now. So I'm talking about particularly on surviving in a VUCA world. Probably most of you know this is not a new word. VUCA is, they say it's coined by US Army School first, immediately after the World War. And they didn't really have a sort of a negative connotation at that point of time, but they thought VUCA, which represents volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, because of World War ending and there are new things coming up, the balance, the equilibrium is disturbed. So people were wondering what to do, and this VUCA world for an army strategy was thought of. How are they going to tackle the VUCA? But again, as I said, just 1 minute I'll take to explain. Volatile, when we say every time it had been volatile, things have been happening, but then the range and frequency of disruptions have been happening even earlier. Even probably invention of an aircraft is a disruption, a positive disruption. But the range and frequency of disruption happening now is really very, very high. And this is causing a bit of an instability, and that's what we mean by volatile. Uncertain, again, we say unpredictability. So there is a difference between risk and uncertainty. And this is the heart of the world of VUCA. See, unpredictability, because when we say risk, we can measure to some extent. We can attribute some numbers to it. We can say there is some, maybe it may not happen to that extent, it may happen short, or it may be more than what we predicted. But we can still, to some extent, predict it. If we say we are going to have 100 centimeter rain In October this year, it could be 98, 90, but we are able to attribute some number. When we say unpredictability, it is totally unpredictable. We are not able to attribute any sort of range numbers to that. And that is what is making things very, very scary, I would say. In fact, I recall one of the Army General of US said, there are something like known knowns, and there is something like known unknowns, and there is something more like unknown unknowns. So I am here talking about the unknown unknowns, especially because known knowns, no problem. We know how to handle it. Even known unknowns, we can predict something, so we can try some precautionary measures or find some strategies to tackle it. Again, it is a risk, may happen, may not happen, may happen at a different probably magnitude, but still it is predictable and it is known unknowns. But whereas when we come to the unknown unknowns, COVID is a typical example. We never knew. See, climate change could be a known unknowns to some extent. Whereas COVID is a typical example of unknown unknowns. We never knew this is going to break. And till such time, we didn't even know there is a city called Wuhan, though that is supposed to be a big city. And again, there is something like a war, Ukraine war. We never knew how important a country like Ukraine would have been in supply of our materials and what it has. So these kind of things make things very, very uncertain. And I would say this is the heart of VUCA. Then complex. What happens? There are too many parameters now. So it's so complex. Earlier, if it is 2 parameters, and then there could be permutation combination, 4 combination. So you can find a strategy for all the 4. Today, it's too many parameters around us, and hence too many permutation combination. Probably with 10 parameters, it could be 100 combinations. So this is cause and effect. It's very difficult to establish. Ambiguous again, because it's multiple options and there is no proven model. We cannot say this, if you go this way, it works this way, or if you do this, this will be the result. It's very ambiguous now because of multiple options. So every option has to be evaluated, which is not that easy, and some are overlapping, some are disintegrated. So that is why it's making a thing a little more tight and probably, I would say, a little scary now. Okay, so in the context of today's world, I said, what is VUCA? Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. We have all this here. The different waves of pandemic, as I said, that lasted for more than 2 years, and we are not sure whether we have come to the end of it. Again, we thought we have almost reached the end, and with so much of vaccinations and things like that, we have almost settled, we thought, and recovery was happening. Today, again, we are having a fear of the 4th wave, and we have different variations, different mutations. We don't know what is what, and we are still not sure about the medicine. So these are some sort of current VUCA, I would say. The problem, this supply chain disruptions, the MSMEs particularly didn't anticipate. They were used to probably the other challenges, the credit issues, the ease of doing business issues, things like that. But something, because of all these things, the COVID, so many other things have brought a new issue. Supply chain disruptions, which I don't think we have ever experienced to this extent. And the MSMEs, again, who are in the value chain and who have resource constraint, have a problem with this again. So this is a VUCA world of today for the MSMEs. And again, the change of financial markets. Knowledge becomes important for the MSMEs, as Rachna pointed out. And today, financial markets are 24/7, spread world over. We don't know what is, and everything is interconnected. If something happens in the London market, it affects here, and if it affects a bigger industry, it affects the MSME. So these are all very, very complex kind of a situation. And above all, there is a fast changing technologies. It comes with its own plus minuses. We are talking about so many new technologies, and we have never heard of, we have never talked about earlier. And with MSMEs, especially with all their constraints, if they have to learn or if they have to put it to use, the kind of robotics or artificial intelligence or things like that, the bigger terms, it's indeed a bit of a challenge for them, for everyone for that matter. Yeah. So what happens? So in spite of all these things, I don't want to sound very negative. In fact, what the silver line I'm seeing in this VUCA world, especially for the MSMEs, we said complex, uncertain. So all this mainly requires agility. And that is what the strength of the MSMEs. They say if the elephant falls, it cannot rise up so easily. Whereas if a cat falls, it can easily get up. And that is the agility, the nimble thing that gives the strength, and that gives probably a special edge for MSMEs, especially in a VUCA world. So we will have to see how best to use that strength. And also, I would say, see, let us be very clear. I have been in this sector for so long, and with the industry and things like that, we are MSMEs are important. Any industry cannot survive without MSMEs. It's not the large industry or this one. It is large industry and MSMEs. And large industries or medium industries, they cannot do everything in the whole process. They cannot do. They do require partners in the supply chain, and MSMEs are the partners which have a low sort of cost operative thing, economic, and that is one of the strengths of the country as well, and also the MSMEs. So we are the live stream, an important part of the value chain, which we have to keep in mind. And we are quick to learn. I mean, definitely, again, it comes from the agility. We can pick up things fast. It's much easier to adapt and move on and just change the kind of a thing, as we are resilient by nature. The MSMEs are resilient by nature. So that is another plus point I would say for the MSMEs to move along. And the government, see, of course, there has always been a feeling with the MSMEs. I have been interacting for so many years. It's, I mean, within the group, I can say sometimes they feel it's only the lip service when we say support the MSMEs, but it's not always the case, because the government or the large industry or anybody for that matter realizes the importance of the value chain and the vendors they have. So definitely there is a special initiatives, lot of special initiatives happening. All that is required, the MSMEs have to be aware of it and take advantage of it. We cannot just stay away from whole thing and keep complaining. We also have to see which works better for us, which we can take advantage, and if we have to know more about it, we shouldn't hesitate to ask for the details. Yeah, next. So this is again the thing, many sunrise sectors are showing up. Some sectors, yes, had a lot of problem. Probably it would have been probably vanishing after the COVID, things like that. But there are so many sunrise sectors. I am talking particularly in an Indian context. There are healthcare, there are biotech, there are electronic, so many sectors. So there are opportunities, and government is also incentivizing. So wherever we can diversify with our resources, with our capabilities, we should try to do that. And new financial models are emerging. Just now we heard from Rachna about the new models. So it has to be, see, they can take the horse to the pond. We will have to drink. So we will have to see if new financial models are emerging. We will have to make use of it. I always wonder, when we talk about startup is also one form of SMEs or micro enterprises. Micro enterprises are small industries, also started as a startup. So what differentiates? How are they able to have such a valuation? How are they able to probably raise so much money for them? So this is again the point where we really have to see how probably we should do that. Yeah. And digital technology is a great leveler. I mean, digital technology, at least we have been exposed to now. We were talking about digitization for long, but COVID taught us to move to that thing faster, as they say. Who is your, whether it is a CIO of your company brought the digitization, they used to say COVID, because COVID became the CIO for many companies. They hastened the process of the digitization. So also for small industries, which was not earlier thinking of, they started using it. And we should realize that digital technology is a great leveler. I mean, if it is a social media, things like that, the cost is so much and you have access to it probably like a bigger industry, unlike the physical hardcore brick and mortar kind of a thing. So we should again make maximum use of the digital technology. As I said, this also could probably bridge the gap between the small, medium, or small and large, whatever. Again, as I said, when we talk about economic revival as a country, as an economy, we cannot leave MSME out. They have to be part of the value chain, and they will have to be attended to, whether by the government or even large industries. Everybody has to come to that, because they cannot survive. The economy cannot survive without MSMEs. Next. Yeah. So my suggestion would be being cognizant of the opportunities and getting prepared. MSMEs have to come out of their shell, think out of box, and should not hesitate to embrace changes. This is quite important. When we had interacted with some of the MSMEs, we have found, though they are agile, though they can really adapt to many things, sometimes the mind block is there. It is started by my father, my grandfather. I cannot suddenly change the thing. I'll have to go by that. Let us embrace changes, whichever suit us. I'm not saying change for the sake of changing, but whichever suit us, whichever would help us to grow, whichever would help us to probably expand, we should embrace. And again, as I said, I think more people are in the panel to talk about it. There are new platforms coming. We talk about threats In fact, we were one of the chambers which also raised the voice saying the PSUs and government departments should be brought, because I saw in some study out of the 60,000 crores traded in the trades, it is hardly 4,500 crores paid by the PSU. So we will have to see. Then the ELGS extended the enhanced credit link guarantee scheme, which came up especially with COVID, SET scheme, Atmanirbhar. There are some things or the other coming. We have to probably seize the opportunities and see how best to take advantage of them. And again, I'm sure Mr. Rajesh and many of the industries are doing it. Probably we shouldn't hesitate to raise our voice on practical issues, because we always feel, as an MSME, we feel our lobbying capacity is less. But remember, we have the collective power. We have more than the collective power than any of the larger industry. So I know they have a better access to the government, better access to the power. But collectively, again, we shouldn't hesitate to probably raise our voice and be vocal about our issues. And again, ready to innovate and experiment. Yes, continuous improvement, innovation is key for being probably agile and fit into the current system. Should be aware of the changing environment and improving the communication bandwidth. As I said, use more of social media. Use even within your organization. You cannot be chairman to doorman. You have to have your more qualified people with you. Improve your bandwidth of working and should get connected to the global value chain. Yes, the global value chain is opening, and we will see how to get connected. We should see. Then only it will bring new technologies, new practices, so many things. So just this is one very interesting thing I came across when one of our committee members was talking about. I didn't know about it. I don't know whether most of you might know or may not know about it. There is a small animal called tardigrade. That's, if you Google and see, it is a very, very micro animal, and they say they had been there for 600 billion years or whatever. And in fact, they can be on the extreme boiling climate or in an Antarctica. And that is the one which has even gone to outer space, they say. And it's very, very, the most probably resilient and adaptable creature is supposed to be tardigrade. So we would like our MSMEs to be tardigrade, because you are quite small, nimble, and you have all that resilience strength. So let us see. I know there are issues, but let us not just focus on issues. Let us focus on strengths. And instance says any crisis shouldn't go waste. So today we are in a very tough world. Business as usual won't work, whether it is a large industry or a small industry. So let us see how best to use our strengths. Forget about your weakness. We will see how to mellow down the weakness, but focus on our strengths and focus on our internal development. And then I think resilience would become even otherwise it's synonymous with MSMEs, and it would be very easy for us to recover, part of the recovery process, and collectively we could really be super big, not just big. I would say small is beautiful, small is super big also once we do that. So I would just end here my speech, and thank you so much for your very patient hearing. I am keen to listen to others. Thanks, Mr. Dojo, once again for the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am, for this wonderful presentation. Actually, you've thrown a lot of light into how an SME or MSME should be in this present scenario. We're running short of time, but you made it very clear, quite brief to the point, what are the ways to move around in this unpredictable times. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. Let me introduce and invite our next speaker, Mr. Ajay Thakur, Head of SME and Startups at the Bombay Stock Exchange SME, BSE SME. Presently, he is the head of BSME, SME and Startup, responsible for the development of these platforms at BSE. A professional with around 25 years of experience in capital markets, spanning India's biggest custodian to India's biggest and largest stock exchange. The key roles have been setting up the depository by the regional stock exchange, developing derivatives and equity market, and setting up SME and startup platform. He is executive committee member of the Indian Merchant Chamber, jury member of India SME Forum, jury member of Aspire Media India, member of advisory committee of GLA University, and associated with Nanubhai Desai and company as a member of advisory board in the fintech company, and also a member of the incubator seed management committee for Startup India Seed Fund. He is credited for launching the first ever SME platform and startup platform in India on 13 March 2012 and 22 December 2018, respectively. BSE today is one of the largest SME platform in India with 363 companies listed and 61 companies are in pipeline. These 363 companies listed represent 17 sectors which have raised an amount of 384.66 crores with market capitalization of approximately 54,000 crores. So the topic that Mr. Ajay Thakur is going to talk about is how BSE SME can help SMEs to grow their business. Welcome, Mr. Ajay Thakur, and over to you.
Thank you, Dojo, for inviting me for this event. I think Mrs. Saraswati and Rachna ji must have talked a lot about well-being and development of SME ecosystem. In fact, we have got NSE Emerge also, about which I think Rachna ji must have talked about. In fact, we all agree on this point that MSME sector is very much important for the growth of economy, and if we require the GDP to grow in double digit, then we as a stakeholder, we all need to ensure that there should be a sustainable growth in the MSME sector, whereby macro enterprises should be grown to a small to medium, and medium to large enterprises. We can't keep on saying that macro enterprise or small enterprise, medium enterprise should remain in that status for quite long, because it's we all know that there is a situation whereby survival of the fittest is the most important thing, and therefore SMEs have to constantly innovate, research, and keep on growing their business to survive. And for that, they require everything. They require funds. Capital is very much important for the growth of any company. You can have idea, but unless until you have access to the capital, you can't grow your business. At the same time, nowadays we are talking about digitization and automation of the company, and keep on doing a lot of innovation. As far as SME platform, BSE SME platform is concerned, we have created this SME platform for multiple purpose. Capital is one thing, but let me tell you that in last almost 10-11 years, we have met almost more than 36,000 small and medium enterprises. We have done more than 2,600 seminars and 400 webinars. And at least we have seen the balance sheets of these 36,000 SMEs. And what we found that the turnover ranges between 5 crore to 600 crore. The profit ranges between 5 lakh rupees to maximum 4 to 5 crore in 95% of the company. And one of the most important, or one of the reason for such a unhealthy balance sheet is this, that it has been over leveraged. It means that there is a lot of loan onto the books, or capital is lying into the company, but there is no growth prospects. So in order to ensure that there should be a healthy balance sheet, we need to have a proper balance between debt and equity, so that there should be lesser cash outflow and the company should keep on growing. So this SME platform provides an opportunity to the small and medium enterprises to raise equity capital from the capital market, and thereby grow their business. Even if they want to do the acquisition, they can do that also. Second important thing what happens post listing is that, and that what I have talked about, is real balance of debt and equity, so that there is less cash outflow and the balance sheet should become healthy, and the bottom line keeps on improving. That is the another aspect. Third benefit is that post listing, the perception of the company changes. People start believing that there is a lot of transparency into the business, there is delegation of powers happening, and therefore the credibility of the promoters keep on improving. That helps in unlocking the value of the company. So if someone wants to unlock the value of the company, then stock exchange is the best place. Fourth, you may be local. Macro, small and medium enterprise are normally local based company with not much national level base. So what happens that once the company gets listed and you start trading and it gets visible on the platform of Bombay Stock Exchange, all the investors start participating, they start seeing the company, they see their performance growing, and therefore the value starts building, the brand building starts, the visibility of the company improves, the acceptability of the products of the company gets broadened, and therefore this listing provides them all these benefits. Fifth, I always say that there are two people who issue the currency, one the RBI governor and another is the promoter of the country by getting their shares listed and traded into the capital market. And sixth benefit is that this equity over the years become the collateral. So after few years, if the promoters don't want to dilute their shares further, they can place their shares as collateral and can raise loan on that. Not only that, we have seen the era of service sector or IT-based company where there were not much of the collateral, and therefore they can't get loans. So how do they retain their best of the employees? Because employees were their asset. So they have issued the ESOPs to their employees and retained them and rewarded them. But ESOPs will gain importance only when those are listed onto the stock exchange. So there are multiple benefits, and we have started the SME platform only to ensure that small and medium enterprises should not have to wait long or should not have to become too big to get listed. In fact, this SME platform gives them a very cost-effective opportunity with lesser regulations and lesser compliances to get listed. The SMEs who wants to get listed within 3 months onto the stock exchange. Within 7 working days, we give the approval if everything is in place. Not only that, it's only the stock exchange who is the regulatory authority, which is the approving authority to the SME company. So therefore, the process is very fast. The merchant bankers also charges very less into the company, and there is the concept of market making, because the essence of the stock market is liquidity, so they provide the liquidity into the system. So we have seen these companies moving from 20 crore market capitalization to 500 crore market capitalization, or from 50 crore market capitalization to even 2,000, 3,000 crore market capitalization. And this can happen only when they got listed. Not only that, we have kept the eligibility criteria for getting listed very simple. Only 4 things we see. Number 1, the company needs to be in existence for a minimum period of 3 years. Number 2, the company should have operating profit in any one of the last 3 years. Third, the net tangible asset of the company should be 1.5 crore. And number 4, they should have positive net worth. So only these 4 simple criteria we have kept for those SMEs who want to get listed onto the SME platform. Not only that, post-listing compliances have also been curtailed a lot. What we are saying that here you have to file half-yearly audited result and yearly audited result. It's not like the main board of the stock exchange where they have to file quarterly audited result. Not only that, we have reduced the cost of compliances by relaxing the norm of publishing it into the newspaper. So there is no requirement of publishing it into the newspaper. They have to just file with the stock exchange and put onto the website. Even we have done away with the requirement of sending the annual report to the shareholder. Here they have to only send the abridged annual report to their investors, and besides that they have to keep a company secretary on the payroll. And if there is any impact or any news which will have positive or negative impact onto the share price of the company, then they have to inform to the stock exchange. So overall, if you see the compliances, eligibility criteria, the guidelines have been made very simple, and these companies can very easily get listed, raise funds, create visibility, create brand. And not only that, after 2 years of listing, if they feel that they should migrate onto the main board of the stock exchange, then they have to take two-third non-promoters approval in the AGM, and their post-issue paid-up capital should be beyond above 10 crores, and the market capitalization should be above 25 crores. So we are also giving them the opportunity to graduate from the SME platform of the stock exchange to the main board of the stock exchange. So I think, and this is a wonderful opportunity that has been created by us for the small and medium enterprises, and they must use this opportunity to grow them into large corporate without waiting for a long period of time. And I think equity is the only instrument which can help the company to grow in geometric progression. There is no other way. If you see one thing common in all the large companies across the world, it's because they are listed onto the stock exchange. So we welcome all the SMEs in the country to please use our platform for their growth. We will give them red carpet welcome as long as they will work under the laws of the land and the rules regulations of the stock exchange. We will give wholehearted support to them because the growth of SMEs is paramount to this country, and we need to ensure these SMEs should keep on creating employment into the country, keep on contributing to the treasury of the government, so that government should work for the welfare of the people at large. So with these words, thanks a lot, and looking forward to any query or any question if it comes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ajay Thakur. We have two biggest establishments in India who would help SMEs list on the platform, and we heard from both of them. Like the spirit that we have today, both of them have joined hands today to celebrate the MSME Day. We're really happy to see that. And thank you, Mr. Ajay Thakur, sharing your time as well. I know it's quite a busy day for all of you being an International MSME Day. I'm sure that this lineup of meetings, one after the other, that you can't say no to many associations. So thank you for your time and the time well spent here and giving us that kind of inputs. Mr. Gopinath Rao is really on rush now, but I requested him to wait for at least 1 or 2 minutes, and he is the Deputy Director of the Ministry of MSME Development Institute. Mr. Gopinath Rao, most of the MSMEs, they know that because he's a very active member across all the associations on a day-to-day basis. I don't have a special introduction to him. Mr. Rao, please say a few words before you could get on to the next one.
Thank you, George. Thank you, sir. Thank you, participants. As we are now today, we are celebrating this International MSME Day. It's a very good and very happy to know that the time has come where we are celebrating MSME Day. We all know we celebrate the day each day in a different name, different customs or different area. But this particular MSME Day is very important for us because we have to remember the role and the contribution made by the MSME to the development of society and the economy of the country is very important. So, looking at the importance, our ministry has some many schemes which will promote the MSMEs, maybe in industrial marketing support or financial support or quality certification support or becoming a vendor for PSUs through various schemes. So, looking at these numbers today, we have around 6.3 to 6.4 MSMEs units across India, and right now we have registered around 94 lakh SME units are registered in our portal today. As in today I just saw that, and from past 10 days we are organizing Udyam registration awareness program where all MSMEs are requested to go register in the Udyam portal, which is very important because in the day to come future, all benefits, all the supporting from the government of India or state government will be only through based on this Udyam registrations. So all my MSME friend leaders are requested to register to their registration, take the much benefits as possible, as far as possible. And second one is the financial side. Most of the bankers we have, they have already assured us to support the MSMEs through MSME schemes. So we have a schemes and like online digital 59 minutes portal or CCTV schemes or Stand Up India for women in CST categories. So please make use of all these things. Also, I'll request another one is registering the GEM portal, which is very important portal, which is where the government itself is the biggest buyer in procuring a lot of items from the industrial side. So, if you become the seller in the GEM portal, it is also one of the best way where you can continue your business continuously, because you can get the orders continuously. Because we'll get tender informations, new product information or quantity, whatever the government going to buy, it is only through the GEM portal. So it is an opportunity. And as far as concerned to finance, what I feel, though we have schemes, there are chances. I mean, there are ways. Another way, just like my other colleague mentioned about the equity, because that is also one of the options where MSA have to look into that. Today, many MSMEs have registered in a stock exchange, and they have come with the IPOs, and which you have seen. That is also another way where the MSME can grow faster, because many MSMEs, like we have seen on the day-to-day basis. And moreover, is most important thing is we have also some schemes. Recently, government announced the Z scheme, zero defect, zero effect, which is very important, and quality certificate, where we have three certificate categories. One is the bronze, silver, and gold. So I MSME, I request the MSME members to make use of this portal. That is z.msme.gov.in. This is the online portal where you can register and take the advantages of getting these quality certifications. Either from the first bronze certificate is very important, where we have to fulfill 5 parameters, and to get the silver another 9 parameters, total 9 parameters, total 14. We want to get this gold certificate, another 6 parameters. So total 20 parameter if you want to go for gold certificate. Like that, every certificate if you take, it has got its own value and phase level in the business. So most of the units will be recognized with the differently when you get this type of certificates. So in order to make more awareness for that, we are also organizing many awareness programs, and in association with industries and many industries. So please, all the MSMEs, please make use of this portal also. Another one is the scheme of the cluster development program, which is very important. Recently, the government increased the grant from earlier it was 20 crores, now it has been increased to 30 crores. So this is one of the scheme where all small and micro enterprises, they can get into that under cluster development group. They can come together and they form a SPV under the Section 8 Company Act, Income Tax Act. So they, that once it is formed, it becomes easy to get the sanction, approval from the government. So right now we have around 15 clusters across Karnataka, and I expect much more clusters to take advantage of this particular scheme. So and recently the Udyam registration is very important. All members, I request you to that. And I think I am running a short of time, because thank you, Jose, for giving, because I could not spare much time. Anyway, we are in the line. Anytime we can join and do much more programs. Thank you, sir. Thank you, all the participants.
Thank you, Mr. Governor Rao, sir. Thank you for holding back. You were supposed to move before, but yes, quite responsible to be back and share some time with us. So thank you very much. So please go on to your next meeting. I know it's a very important day today.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. Welcome. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next speaker, which is the most important speaker of the day. We have kept it towards the end because we want everyone to listen to him, and everyone should wait for that. Mr. Rajesh Setia is going to represent the 60 million SMEs in India. He is the CEO and founder of TestPan India Private Limited. It's an award-winning company. He was one of the award winners. Won two awards from the Small Enterprise Business Awards in 2020. He is an experienced CEO with a demonstrated history of working in the information technology and services industry. Skilled in marketing segment, negotiation, business planning, customer relationship management, and sales management. Strong entrepreneurship professional with a Master of Business Administration in Marketing from Bharatiya Vidyapeeth Institute of Management and Research, New Delhi. Now, a bit about it is organization TestPan India. TestPan India Limited provides infrastructure support for examination process and assessment solutions to educational institutions, government, public sector, and corporate. Started in early October 2016, TestPan India has been pioneer in delivering numerous innovative solutions. TestPan India has a trusted infrastructure and test delivery provider for the organization of public as well as private sectors. Whether by starting a new career, further developing their skills to improve on an existing one, adding to their qualification for a promotion, taking school entrance exam, or simply for professional development, people taking tests want a reliable, convenient, and hassle-free experience. TestPan has got a solution to it. So the topic, what Mr. Rajesh Setia will be talking today, is all about resilience and bounce back during the post-pandemic from a MSME perspective. So let's welcome Mr. Rajesh.
First of all, thank you so much, Aspiring Media and the Dojo, for giving me an opportunity to come and speak and represent. I mean, that's a very big responsibility. You've said that representing 6.5 million MSME. So coming straight to the topic, because I am not into that jargons, but I'll try to say it as simple as one can understand. When it comes to an MSME, we always think and have an impression that it's going to be a manufacturing unit, which is not going to be very flamboyant or very attractive. But now, since Government of India is really keen to pick up this MSME, and especially thanks to Government of India, when they are considering even the services also to be the part of MSME, which give us very, very much confidence that yes, not only the manufacturing unit, but also the service sector units are also contributing towards the growth of economy and almost contribute 29% of GDP. So apart from MSME, TestPan India is also one of the startup. So being an MSME in a small segment in 2016 by revenue of 1.1 crore, in 5 years, we have become a medium enterprise with a revenue of almost 1 million. So that is how the journey of TestPan has come in 5 years. And what we do is already been explained by Mr. Dojo, but the thing is, in a layman, if you want to get any of the exam done, the booking management system and the delivery of those exams are the main profession taken care by our company. In 5 years, 5.5 years, we have around 600,000 testing node reaching 400 cities in India and 13 countries abroad. We have got around 3,500 plus test centers, and we have an 18 state partner network, which we have been able to achieve in just 6 months, being very, very aggressive. So by profession, representing Bharati Vidyapeeth and my engineering college, that thing gave me an opportunity to come into this industry. So the TestPan has a further vision of becoming an e-marketplace where assessment companies and test centers can come online and do the business directly, like Book My Show. So this is what is small brief about myself and my company. So coming to the subject of MSME, I think MSME, we as a service provider were a heavy operational driven company. And when we were growing at the rate of 60% per annum, it was 2016. And when the pandemic hit, it was like, for an entrepreneur, end of world. A company which is very, very operational driven, very, very mechanically doing the business, being physically present into all the office work and even the operation and delivery, it has to be very in person. So pandemic was like, it was a dent on the growth of TestPan when we, from 2016 to 2020, when we hit. In the 2020 January, we had been onto the national level channels like Economic Times and Times Now, even at that stage. So this is where, the journey again starts, what we have a current topic of resilience. if we are surviving and if we have grown and if we have become a medium enterprise after starting as a small enterprise is because of the word resilience. So I would congratulate all the MSMEs who are presently present in this session that they were resilient. So is they are into the business. Otherwise, pandemic had not only hit everyone as a health wise, but also as a financial thing. And of course, we can give some special privilege to the pharmaceutical industry, but overall, every individual in this world was badly hit by pandemic, and it was really thinking nowhere. And it was, in spite of the fact that 20 years of experience of mine in multiple business, it was very difficult to what to do and what not to do. This is where we thought, we are going to survive and we are going to grow. So there was a downfall of around 28% of the revenue in the fourth year, and further downfall of the revenue around 33% in the second wave of pandemic. So you can see the kind of mindset. We were the team of around 17 people, but the best part was we did not do any of the layoff. We did not do any of the this thing, and we thought that we are going to bounce back. This is where I would like to tell you that how we got this thing. First of all, one factor is a resilience. The second factor is innovation. And third is collaboration. I think these were the three things which we hold hand during that pandemic. And when we were still coming out of the pandemic has helped us to grow, double the revenue, double the customer acquisition, and sales team from 17 to 65 people. Where on 2020 early in the first wave, we were thinking that we are going to go bad, we are going to sink, but we bounced back. So the advantage we have in India, the population, and we are very consumption driven. Last week, I had an opportunity to being shortlisted with one of the delegation for Korea, and I was in Korea, and it is almost one of the advanced country we have. There, the situation is, of course, the government in every country is helping, small, medium enterprise. There also, we were being called as a buyer because everybody now in India thinks of, India as a big market. So I had been to that part of the world for the very first time of the life. And it was like they have done tremendous production physically in the product, but also they have developed content, which is, we say, that IT based thing. And since they are advanced country and they are less in population, they do not know how to sell and where to sell. This is an advantage for MSME in India, that we have a population and we have a consumption. So one thing, we are consumption driven. So we do not really have to see, outside India, but definitely when you are on a global scale, it has to go with the export market as well. And it is a time where, India has a future. I was just having a first meeting with the buyer and they were very, very aware of India. I was really surprised, that, the presence of India in global market. And they said, your government is applying, a lot of efforts for being vocal for local, Atmanirbhar Bharat. I was simply that a guy, we met on the table and the first thing he said. So it was a good question and it was said with a well-aware fact that yes, India is, trying to be vocal, we're going everything. So that, what answer we gave, please. Yes, the government of India is, saying that, but the best part is you have to come to India, manufacture here, deploy the employment here, and sell your product. So they were really impressed that yes, helping them, and at the same time, we are doing this also. So this is what the experience we say. So I have another thing as a startup, as an MSME. A lot of importance is given to startup since 2016. So we take that advantage also. Now MSME, I am giving you food for thought. Why not to have an incubation and an accelerator program for MSMEs also? They are not very limelight, but they are contributing a lot in the economy and the GDP of this thing. This has to be really taken on a very senior level. That yes, startup which started in 2016, but MSME who have been working since ages with generations, with the father, grandfather opening one manufacturing unit, and the son and grandson is taking it forward. We really have to make them feel important. This can be done in the form of accelerator and incubations. What we are doing it for the startup, because these startups who were working as an MSME were also very contributing. Today, Zomato, Paytm, we have seen they have gone for IPO. But there is Unicorn, but Unicorn is made a hero on, burning others' money, showing work in progress. But what about the MSMEs who are making profit every month, every year, generating employment, and still they are not being shown in a limelight section? Where is the difference? So there is a thought process behind it that you have to really think on making these MSMEs equally important as startups. I think that is the need of the time. And once we have that kind of an arrangement from the government bodies, from the institutions like you and all these organizations, and yes, IPO, I had never thought I should think of IPO, though we are not planning now. But I still say, if the norms have been made so easier, why not we as an SME who has got a 10 crore turnover and it's a profitable company from last 5 years, can't we go for IPO? So if this exposure is given to the MSMEs in the incubation and acceleration programs, which is already given to a lot of startups, I think many of the SMEs and MSMEs will come forward and take this as a challenge. Yes, we also think ourselves in those lines. See the IPOs who have come, they are not profitable, but they have a valuation. So we are MSME which are really profitable, robust in nature, and the only thing is we have to adopt, we have to show resilience, we have to adopt technology, and we have to collaborate. With this note, I would like to end my discussion, but I think there is a lot of food of thought which I think has been given to the organizing committee and the people from NSE and BSE. See, I mean, there are 6.5 million MSME, and on a SME platform, we have 363. So see the kind of potential. Coming to the facility, the last thing which I would like to say, yes, we have availed MSME CGT MSE limit. Yes, we have availed 80 IAC benefit of Startup India. Yes, we have taken the emergency credit limit, but there are a lot of loquinas to the schemes when it comes to the practical form. The government announces, but the bank says, the government is announcing from the vote bank perspective. The bank says we are going to really do the lot of thorough checks, and then we will release that. And lately, when the repo rate has been bounced with 0.4 point, and all bankers immediately, without taking any support and opinion, they have raised the interest rate, and they say we want to control inflation. When we are reviving from pandemic, and then you see a 1% increase on rate of interest, see the kind of impact it makes to your projection and the confidence. With this note, thank you so much, Small Media and Dojo, for giving me an opportunity to say my